This new speedster wants to build a time machine. The whole timeline will be at stake. I need your help to save the world.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9. And for this video, we have a brand new trailer they've released for The Flash Season 9. This is the extended trailer for the season, and we have a lot more new footage, a lot more interesting stuff. We have first looks on Red Death, and just many more like timeline issues that's going to be taking place and all those sorts of stuff. So very excited to break this down all for you guys. And I will also be going over one specific set video for The Flash Season 9 Episode 9, highlighting a first look at what it seems to be Stephen Amell returning as the Green Arrow, and that is confirmed judging from what's going around on set. So I'll be talking about that as well. Now, the trailer they released, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the first trailer they released. The only difference is there's a little bit of new footage. So I don't really see the point in going over the old stuff. If it's like kind of related to the main new footages that we're seeing, I will sort of like link them together. But other than that, I will not really go over the old stuff because we've already seen it and we've already talked about it. I'll just be breaking down the new stuff for you guys over here. But obviously, for those who have not seen the trailer itself, it is linked in the description down below because obviously I cannot play the trailer due to like copyright issues and all those sorts of stuff. So yeah, the trailer kicks off with Barry in the lounge looking out the window, and there seems to be like some like red lightning going around, so like it's like a red storm. I'm assuming this is to do with Red Death, as it's obviously like red lightning, so I'm going to assume that's something related to Red Death, and it's obviously in the Red Death arc as well, so it's a safe assumption. We do then cut to a shot of Chester looking at the season 1 suit, and this is just emotional, man. Just looking at this and just seeing like how far we've come from season 1 all the way to season 9, it's just crazy. And the fact that this show lasted so long, it's honestly just amazing. It's going to hit. We're 1 month away, or just under 1 month away, for the Flash to return, and I know it's going to be one hell of an emotional experience. But yeah, just seeing that suit and just seeing how far we come, it's honestly just crazy. Now, we do have this new idea being introduced, and that is Barry's map book, where essentially he's overlooking the future, and that's what he essentially says to Iris. Now, this could potentially hint to what Abracadabra said in The Flash Season 7 Episode 4, where Barry is starting to become obsessed with the future. Abracadabra does say, you become obsessed with the future at one point. And pretty much this is Barry studying the future. You know, he's getting more obsessed with it, and he wants to know like every bit of detail so that he's prepared for it. So I think that's what they're hinting towards over here. Obviously, we do see him reveal to Iris that she does become pregnant in 3 months. So obviously this seems to be a shock to Iris, saying that Barry knows something like this and Iris doesn't. And you do see in a lot of the shots of the trailer, Iris does seem quite burdened about something. Like, she doesn't really seem too happy. Like, she seems quite bothered because of what Barry's doing and him like obsessing and just reading over the future, and that does trouble Iris. We do also have this shot of like an argument between Barry and Iris, where Iris essentially just says that she just wants to live through it and just make her own choices in the moment, rather than just seeing it all through and just being prepared for it. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how far this goes in terms of like Barry's obsession with the future. Now, we do have Barry suited up as the Flash in the lounge in Star Labs, and he does mention this new speedster wants to build a time machine. Now, we know there's a new speedster for this arc of the final season, and that is obviously Red Death, played by Javicia Leslie. So it's going to be the show's own spin, where it's going to be Batwoman and as a speedster, basically. And Barry does also say later on in the trailer the whole timeline will be at stake. Now, the reason why I'm linking those two together is because of this theory that I have. So obviously we know Red Death is Batwoman. Now, this could potentially be linked to the crystal we saw from the end of The Flash Season 8. And, you know, they're sort of doing their own spin of it, where maybe like future Batwoman is the one that gets approached by the negative forces, and then that's how future Batwoman becomes Red Death. So maybe future Batwoman, she asks Barry, future Barry, if Barry can time travel to save her loved ones. Let's say maybe Batwoman, she lost Sophie. She already lost her mother, and maybe she lost others. Maybe she lost Luke as well. Maybe she lost Mary as well. That could be a safe bet. And she would ask Barry if, he could time travel and save them. And obviously Barry would say no, because this would affect the timeline. And that's maybe what motivates the future Batwoman to become Red Death. And it's because of that. I think that could be a potential theory that could happen, because I don't see them introducing the multiverse in the final season. I don't really think that makes too much sense. But I don't know. So maybe this Red Death's motivation is to actually just go back, save her loved ones, and just, conquer the timeline for her own benefit. Maybe that's what's going on over here. Because as I said, it doesn't make too much sense for me for them to introduce a brand new multiverse when we're only getting 5 episodes of Red Death. And it's just going to not really serve any purpose, because this is the final season. We're not going to be seeing any aftermath or anything like that. And saying that the Arrowverse is pretty much over after the Flash is gone, it just undermines the fact that this is quite possibly related to the multiverse. So I think they're going to do their own spin of it, where Red Death will actually be future Batwoman instead. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I will make this as a theory video for another time where I'll talk about it in more detail, because I think it is quite possible that this is what they're going to go for. Now, Iris then pulls out a negative velocity gun, and we've seen this in the previous trailer before, and now the only reason I'm mentioning it is because, once again, it's related to like the Red Death stuff. And we've seen this velocity zero gun before, and that was when Armageddon happened, and in season 8 episode 4, it's Batwoman that gives Iris that gun, and they've mentioned that they've defeated the Lady in Red. And that's obviously a teaser to the Red Death, who's now the Lady in Red. This is Batwoman as the Red Death. So that's what that's what they were talking about. It's pretty much happening over here. Now, we do then have like a bunch of new shots with the new rogues, one of which is Barry captured by Captain Boomerang, Rainbow Raider, and Murmur. And we do also have this like red-haired Meta that we've never seen before. So it would be interesting to see what she's about, like what her powers are and what sort of things she's able to do. And it will be interesting to see how they are formed as well. Now, it's probably Captain Boomerang or something like that that forms them together and just brings them together. But I'm not entirely sure. It's really, really cool that we're getting like the spin on the rogues. And obviously we know they're a big part of this first half of the season. We know Red Death is the main villain, but we know the rogues, are going to be having a big role in this arc as well. So it's cool to see them formed. It's cool to see them playing such a big role, because we haven't really seen it that much in previous seasons of the show. So it's really cool that we're getting the spin on the rogues. Now, these aren't essentially the rogues, but we do have this shot of Barry and a bunch of returning characters in the Speed Lab. And as you guys can see, this is Goldface, Jacob Burt, Hartley Rathaway, and Chillblaine, all in Star Labs making a plan. This is obviously to defeat the Red Death, because we know they're going to be in the final battle between the Flash versus the Red Death, so we know they're going to be a part of that. Maybe Barry also got them back to possibly help against the rogues as well. That could also be quite possible. Now, this part is very, very interesting, but we have Sage Force particles essentially like traveling and going into Barry's mind, and that's what I believe causes him to have the nightmare later on in the trailer. Possibly he sees the destruction Red Death causes across Central City, or maybe like he sees like the whole timeline is pretty much at risk, the whole future is at risk, and that's what causes Barry to panic. And that's why in the next shot he goes recruiting and he says, "I need your help to save the world." Now, this came into my head very, very recently. Now, you guys would remember at first I kind of linked this with Gorilla Grodd, because it does seem like Gorilla City, which Barry is in, and he's actually looking up at someone much taller than him. That's why I assumed it's Gorilla Grodd. However, we know the only hero returning for this graphic novel is Batwoman. So I don't know, maybe she could be like hanging up on something and Barry's actually looking up. I don't know, but he could be talking to Batwoman over here as well, because we know Batwoman is returning in this Red Death arc as well. Now, we do get Barry also getting blasted by someone with Sage Force particles. Now, it could obviously be the red-haired Meta. It could also potentially be Murmur as well. It could also be Negative Psych. We don't see who shoots it, so we can't really tell, but we know the negative forces are still going to be playing somewhat of a role, because they're not gone. It's only their negative speed force that's gone, but the negative forces are still around, so maybe that could be what's going on over here. I'm not entirely sure. But then we do also have Barry facing off against like the rogues where he like shoots lightning, and also there's a shot of like Captain Boomerang throwing boomerangs around, and Barry is, I'm assuming, going to dodge it, hopefully. Yeah, that is pretty much it for the trailer. Now, I did want to mention, as I said, there was this set video from season 9, episode 9. Now, this is a stunt, like practice, so this is not like an actual scene taking place. But as you guys can see over here, this is someone with a bow doing a fight scene. Now, I think this pretty much confirms that time travel is taking place, because this is Oliver Queen returning back as the Green Arrow, not as a Spectre. Maybe he could return as a Spectre as well, but so far we can tell that he is returning as the Green Arrow because he's fighting with his bow in action. He's firing arrows and he's just beating people up. So this confirms that Oliver Queen is returning back as the Green Arrow at one point as well, which is really, really cool. I'd really love to see how that happens. So I'm assuming it's something related to time travel because of that. Now, it must be mentioned that Oliver Queen over here is using his season 8 bow, and credit to where it belongs, I'm going to use a quick set photo from Canada Graphs over here, and this is not out yet from his blog, this is actually out from his Patreon. But over here we do have a shot of Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen, like he's wearing just normal Oliver Queen clothes, not really like Green Arrow or anything like that. But what's so interesting about this is it's not really interesting, but if you want to go all nitpicky about it, the hairstyle and beard he has is not the same at all to the look Oliver Queen has from The Flash season 8. So this seems to be an Oliver Queen from the earlier seasons, despite him having his season 8 and season 1 bow. So that's interesting, and I wonder if that's like a mistake or anything like that, but I guess we will have to wait and see in regards to what this actually is. But all we know is that Green Arrow is definitely returning as well, so I guess you can get excited about that. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think about all of this, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.